A recent spate of attacks, death threats and intimidation has alarm bells sounding over the threat to German democracy. Offenders often target local officials and election workers who have little to no official protection. DW reports from Brandenburg's city of Cottbus.
This is the woman determined to unseat a far-right rival in an AfD stronghold through her commitment to change. Adeline Abimwi Avemo.
I'm worried, but I'm not afraid of the AfD. There's a difference between worrying and being afraid. When you're worried, you can still find a solution. But when you're afraid, you look for a way out.
Cameroonian-born Avemo hopes to get into parliament in the upcoming regional election in Brandenburg for the conservative CDU party. Her politics have been inspired by her experience as an immigrant to Germany and all the challenges and opportunities that come with it. But her mission has also made her a target in her hometown Cottbus, located in a state where the far-right AfD is polling at around 27%. Police are currently investigating an alleged incident of racial abuse and assault, in which Avemo was verbally abused and had to be treated for a neck injury while out campaigning in July.
It happened. I hope it doesn't happen again. It was shocking that something like that could happen. In my 22 years in Cottbus, I've never experienced such racism. I continued with my campaign, hanging up my posters as planned, until the end.
One of Avemo's political opponents in this district? Lars Schieske from the AfD. He is classified as a far-right extremist by the regional intelligence authorities. He won the constituency in 2019 and has good chances of doing it again. So getting him out and her in is a difficult mission. Because many here are disillusioned with Germany's more established parties.
I think a strong AfD is a good thing. Just look at Germany. See how Germany is going downhill. Germany helps foreigners, offering aid all over the place while nothing happens here.
I completely disagree with the policies of the German government and the established parties in general. I don't like the asylum policy.
Others here fear the far-right surge.
It's sad. The German government made mistakes in the past few years to the benefit of the AfD. They've just had to sit back and the votes come to them.
I'm disappointed in the people here. How can anyone vote for the AfD? Did they not have parents, grandparents? Have they never talked about the war and how everything started with Hitler?
Avemo is the first black woman to run here for a mandate. And she is determined to unify democratic forces to counter the far-right AfD.
Germany is just over a week away from another key state election in Brandenburg. It follows ballots in two other eastern states, Thuringia and Saxony, which saw a surge in support for the far right. New polling indicates a similar trend in Brandenburg, putting the far-right Alternative of Germany just ahead of the governing Social Democrats, or SPD. The Conservative Christian Democrats, or CDU, is running third, while the Sahra Wagenknecht Alliance, or BSW, is in fourth place. Both those parties have lost a few points since the last survey. Let's bring in our political correspondent, Julia Sardelli. Explain to our viewers what is driving voters so far to the right for the first time since Nazis ran this country.
Yeah, we've seen that happen in Thuringia, where the AfD came in first in the state election at the beginning of September, and we might be seeing it now in Brandenburg as we see that it's a neck-and-neck race between the AfD and the Social Democrats, the SPD. What has been driving a lot of the debate is the issue of migration. We've seen that also in the other state elections at the beginning of the month in Thuringia and Saxony. We're seeing it again now. According to polls, 40% of voters say migration is the biggest issue in this election, followed by education. But this doesn't appear to be surprising. We've seen the issue of migration being debated very much at the national level, for example, with the issue dominating the headlines. And we've also seen the political campaigns in these states, especially, for example, from the far-right AFD party, very much focusing on the issue of migration.
Will the federal government's tightening of border checks to send back people who shouldn't be allowed into the country next week change voters' minds in any way?
It is hard to tell in this short time frame what exactly is driving voters' decisions. We've seen that compared to last week, the Chancellor's party, the Social Democrats, SPD, has gained 3% and is catching up to the AFD. Now, this could well be driven by the fact that voters are appreciating the government's tougher stance on its measures on migration, saying that it wants to act to curb migration. But it could also be that voters have seen the success of the AFD in Thuringia coming in first and have maybe gotten scared of that and have decided to instead move their vote somewhere else. But we've also heard of some cases of tactical voting. For example, voters of the Greens a party which, according to the latest polls, might not even make it into the state parliament. They are considering voting strategically against the AFD, giving their votes not to their preferred party, the Greens, but, for example, to the Social Democrats to try to keep the AFD away from the first place.
Julia Sardelli, thank you very much for your analysis.